When you're in the job, you're not questioning if the person can help the other person, right? You're not going to question the professors, the doctorate level professors in the sociology department. Like, you're not questioning them, right? You're just like, this is the bee's knees. You got to attend this college because it's the best for this and it will do this for you. And we have this program over here and we have that program over there, right? However, when we're an entrepreneur, we have attached so much of our identity to ourselves and our ability to help the person, especially as a coach, that we wrap up this entire story that we can't do it. You're here to make a difference. It's our job to help you do that. Welcome to the Impact Driven Entrepreneur. We helps you to build a thriving coaching company by becoming a thriving, impactful CEO. We do that through the Impact Formula methodology. And what this means is that you're going to be selling out your offers, scaling beyond one-on-one into group programs, and leveraging a team so that you can exponentially increase your income and slash your work week. It's time to experience the true income, impact, and freedom you deserve. Welcome back. Today we have Carol Ben-Davies, and she is with College Bound Determination. This is another one of our friend chats where her and I are just going to talk about our experience in handling objections, dealing with rejection in the sales process, and just moving through that, because that's the only way, right? You got to move through all of it. So welcome, Carol. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. And just listening to that, I'm just like, oh my gosh. Like, why does even the word sales just gives me the EBGBs? Like, I don't like that word. And I think and I did a lot of work on this last year. So this year, 2022, it is on, y'all. Don't come for me. Don't come for me. I think my mindset is where it needs to be. It took a long time to get here, but I don't like the word sales. It makes me feel like I'm supposed to be able to do something that I feel like I can't do, right? Because there's all these salespeople and these salesmen and these salespersons, and they're selling and selling, and I don't see myself as that person. And you've said this for forever, but I think it's like it finally is like making sense that sales is an act of service. Like, I am helping you. And I think so much in the past, what has been my hang up is, one, I've been too invested in what their outcome is. Like, I feel desperate, and it comes from where I am and where I was in my situation, where, I had this steady income, and then I didn't have that. And then I'm like, I need to get money from my family, that kind of, that feeling and putting out that energy of desperation, I don't think helped. But I think the other thing is, honestly, when you have something that can really help someone, save them time, save them money, save them stress, you are doing them a favor. I'm not doing you a favor by you coming and working with me. And I call myself the Dean of College Success and Strategy now. I'm not doing, you should feel so blessed to work with me. And I think that's the mindset that you have to have when you're on these calls and trying to make a sale. It's not making the sale. You're really trying to help somebody.
Yep.
And I think for me too, it's like there was a lot of self-doubt. Like, even though I know my stuff and even though I have all these years of experience, there's still that, well, can I really deliver? Can I really solve this problem? And I'm like, hell yeah, I can. Come on, Carol, let's get this. And, when you hear those like, whoa, it's not the right time, or, oh, well, think about it. I think I was too quick to be like, oh, okay, and kind of shrink away, like, oh, I asked for the sale.
Yeah.
My coach said I should ask, and I did that. I did my part, but I need to have them fully understand what it means to not work with me.
Yeah.
And I don't think for me, I've articulated what it means to not work with me. And I think for so many parents, they think they can do it on their own. And maybe they can, and they think their child might end up going to college and thriving in the way that they had been in high school and, since kindergarten. And maybe that's the case as well. But do you want to take that chance? Do you want to make that gamble? Most people who succeed with other people. You don't succeed by yourself. And when you have someone who has a service that can help you, 10x what goal you're trying to achieve, it saves you time, it saves you stress, it saves you money. And that piece I have not articulated that. So right now I'm seeing parents who are saying, oh man, my kid went off to college and they had the scholarship and they lost it. And I know that the chances of that happening is so high. And I know that they have been, where their mind is now is, I was really cocky. And I know this. I know this is the sort of the cycle of what happens in the thought process. And I need to find a way to explain sort of what I do and how I can prevent that feeling of regret, because that's what happened. And I'm a mom of young kids, but I know that mom guilt, that dad guilt starts early and it stays on forever, because my mom is still apologizing for stuff and I'm like 45. I'm like, mommy, it's okay. Like, I don't think you giving me soy milk is why I have fibroids. I mean, it's just like constant, like, I apologize for that. Or, I didn't know I was such a young mom. I'm like, mommy, it's okay. I totally understand. You came over here, you didn't have family, all this stuff. So it's like, I know this crystal ball of what I can help parents do. And I need to just stand in that confidence and provide the service. It's not about the sale. It's about, here, I have a service that can really help you. Really help you understand this journey, help position your child so that their college journey is much more successful than it would be if they did it on their own. And the way that most parents sort of prepare their kids, which is, they got their SAT, they got their test scores, they got their essays and all that. And now my child is quote unquote good to go.
Yeah.
And then they get there and it's just like, that's not the story. And so this it's just like I've had this aha in the last quarter. It took too long, but I think I'm finally there where you've always been, like, sales is service. It clicked to me seeing these parents now saying, damn, I wish I had known.
Yeah,
and I'm
because
like,
especially when the ones that especially the ones that you didn't push, quote unquote, that much on the sales, and then a year later they're like, oh my god, my kid, this just happened, right? Like the worst case scenario. Then for me, that was always what like drove me to be like, I really have to sell. And then my whole business became about teaching sales when I saw the consequence in real life with prospects who a year later were in a worse position. I think it's interesting too, because you work jobs, right? And in a job, like when I am back at a hospital, right? And I'm working at a hospital, and it's great, like with my business background, to see the business operating from this point of view, because it's the exact same thing we talk about, right? And what I was going to say is, like, when you're in the job, you're not questioning if the person can help the other person, right? You're not going to question the professors, the doctorate level professors in the sociology department. Like, you're not questioning them, right? You're just like, this is the bee's knees. You got to attend this college because it's the best for this, and it will do this for you. And we have this program over here, and we have that program over there, right? You're not going to be, especially even if you work, wherever you work, if you work in admissions, if you work in whatever, anyone you ever talk to, you are not doubting the value of what the company does. However, when we're an entrepreneur, we have attached so much of our identity to ourselves and our ability to help the person, especially as a coach, that we wrap up this entire story that we can't do it. When the reality is, like, nobody in an organization would actually question any of it.
And what's so interesting about what you just said is I literally developed my business around how I was helping parents in my
I know you
job,
were.
where I was
That's why I
assistant
was
dean of
like
students,
bringing it
right?
up.
So I was
Yeah.
an assistant dean of students. First I have a background in admission, so helping students get in, and then 20 years of experience in higher education, several areas, but specifically was in an office where day in, day out, I was helping students and parents with the same issues and concerns. And I
Mhm.
said, my goodness, we need to be more proactive than this, because if everyone across demographics, so whether they were Black, white, rich, poor, first generation, multi-generational, rural, urban, are having these same conversation, I'm having the same conversations with them, there's a problem here.
Yeah.
And the fact that no one talks about it makes it more of a problem for me in sharing and articulating my value. But that doesn't mean the value doesn't exist,
Right. Yeah.
you know?
And I bring that up because most people who start a coaching business have something, right? That if they only knew different, or if they had experienced different, or their work experience brings them to notice a huge problem or gap in the industry, like that is why you exist. It's not to sit there and question, can I really do this? You exist to solve that problem, to help the person. And it's your job to get butts in seats and to get people moving in there. Like, I think about, what if like nobody marketed or sold or, did PR or, positioned a hospital that in a way that tells people, the community, that it's
Yeah,
there, right?
right.
What happens in that scenario?
They'll go to
Beds are
Uber.
empty. You close down, right? Like, and those people will remain unhelped in their own community. And so it's the same exact thing in what we're talking about, right? It becomes your duty to do the marketing, to get your name out there, to
Yeah.
sell. And I think too, like you said, even the word sales just like is really, almost like derogatory or like
Because
painful to
people, I
listen
think that,
to.
yeah, the term is like derogatory. I think there's just like
Yeah,
a negative,
turn to it. Yeah.
connotation
Yeah.
around the word sell, or I'm selling to you. It just sounds like bothersome.
Yeah. And that's like your own reprogramming that you'll have to do. But I think there's two factors to it. One, I noticed myself the other day, like my son was watching something on YouTube, and the guy is like, and if you've ever seen the commercial, if you watch YouTube for 2 seconds, you've seen it. I've seen this commercial like 100 times on YouTube. And basically the guy, it's like this really fit guy, and he's looking at a salad and a pizza, and he's like, what do you think I'm going to have for pizza? And he's got, of course, no shirt on in the kitchen, because that's what you do when you have six-pack abs. And he's like, and the guy's like, well, I'm definitely not eating the salad, I'm going to go for the pizza because blah 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 blah. And he's trying to like make the sales pitch, and I was like, kids, they are tricking you. You need to eat the salad. Like, because we really value being healthy and staying
Yeah.
healthy and making good healthy choices. And I'm like, I just told my kid that a commercial was tricking him. How is this going to affect his ability to sell in the future if he ever wants to, right? Or his relationship to marketing? And he's like, but why are they tricking me? Why are they tricking me on TV? And I'm like, you have to be careful, because sometimes they're trying to sell you a product, and it's not always the truth.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm explaining this entire thing to him.
Yeah.
He's 7, right? So like, how many times were we warned, right? And think about how many commercials came on for like the gawk, like what was in the 80s, the gack, like the Sour Patch Kids dolls, I don't know, all kinds of like crap that we wanted to buy. I know for me, it was like those Connects, those like building toys. I love those. I wanted those. I bought
It's a
them as an
constant. They
adult.
watch the
Yeah.
kids YouTube, and so it's like every other daggone commercial is like a product. And I told the girls, look, they are getting paid, first of all, because you are consuming
that content.
and every time you like or comment, which they don't, of course, but I'm like, they are selling to you. And funny, they just were watching one of these little girls and they had this product that they just got for Christmas. But had they not had it, the first thing would have said was, "Mommy, can we have that?
Right.
Mommy, can we have that?" So I think the other part of it is, you know, sometimes it's not the salesy part, but it's like you see something that you want, but maybe you can't afford it. Maybe you don't feel like you need it. You've always been told no. You know, there's all this, like, you want something that you can't have type of thing, right?
Yeah.
Around sales as well. So a lot of it is just,
That's also coming up, right? And
yeah,
that's
yeah,
why, like, how many times were we told this by our family, our children, or our mother, our aunts, our uncles, like everybody's like, no, 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 calm it down, right? And especially now it's the new year, right? So goals, and it all ties in, right? So it ties in with goal setting and our relationship with goal setting, because we're asking for what we want, but are we allowed to have what we want? And at the same time, can I really go after sales? It also feels a little skeezy. And what if I'm tricking someone? And like, it
yeah,
all goes around and around, and that's just work to reprogram
yeah.
and to choose on purpose what you want your relationship to be with it.
And
Sorry.
I think that piece where you, like, the you know, people selling something and the product not doing what it says it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
You know, I remember my dad, we grew up in Brooklyn, and um VCRs were the thing, were the latest thing. And he bought a VCR set on the street of all things. I'm like, you know, now I'm thinking about it, like, why would you do that, Daddy? But, you know, he bought a VCR, and it was just like, oh my gosh, wow, we have a VCR, but it was full of wet newspaper.
Oh my gosh.
And I just remember his reaction. Like, he kicked the box. He was so mad. He was mad that he had been bamboozled by this guy. He was mad that he was excited and we were gonna, you know, watch our first VHS tape and all that. And I think those kind of, like, slimy things where people, you know, you see people selling stuff and you're just like, obviously can't work, you know, like, you know. So I think that is so I literally have to, and like I said, I'm working on this, but disassociate myself from that, because
Yeah.
that's not what I do. That's
Yeah.
not what I do. That's not who I am. I'm a person of integrity. So, well, hopefully through the course of someone interacting with me, they will see that I'm the real deal, and they can always Google me.
Right.
um, but it's like, I don't have to be guilty of by association is what I, you
Exactly.
know, I
It's
don't have to
not
be guilty by
yours to
association.
carry. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not
yeah,
yours to carry.
yeah,
And it doesn't,
yeah,
I think the other piece of it is you feeling those feelings of like, oh my gosh, I don't want to trick that person. I don't want to, like, all of that stuff, like that, you bringing that doesn't take away from one, their fear, and it doesn't make right the experiences they had that were that.
yeah.
Does that make sense? And that's not your responsibility
It's
in
not.
any way. And I mean, I've done so much work on this. So like I had so many experiences in my childhood and in my past that I had to literally reprogram. I had to change my ideas about it, change the way I thought about it. And I've shared with you, like, scarcity was a huge in my household. And as an immigrant, first generation, literally came with one suitcase.
Fair.
That
Yeah.
is part of how I was raised. I was raised in a household where things were tight and we didn't have a lot of the privileges that other parents had, such as like family around, or
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, a house handed down to me, or wedding gifts for my parents of like fancy
Right.
china or anything. Like we literally came with nothing. So
Yeah.
I think that when we think about that, right, we have a lot more layers to work through in our own past and in our own childhood, around sales, around money, around
Yeah.
scarcity, around having what we want to have
Yeah.
and feeling worthy of it. And
That's the
it's,
piece. Yeah.
yeah, and it all ties together.
Yeah.
I also think, you know, we're gonna get going back to objections, because we do want to talk a little bit about it. When we bring that energy of the scarcity, the lack, the I
Yeah.
don't want to seem like I might be tricking someone, and especially, let's
Yeah.
just be frank, right? um as a Hispanic woman, I can speak as my own experience.
Mhm.
People have been racist towards me in that they have thought because I'm Hispanic, I might be tricking them. Because I
Mm,
am whatever,
mm,
I must be doing some sort of whatever. And
mm,
that was work I had to do. I had to see the times when those things happened
mm.
and remember that that was never my intention, and
Yeah.
that I cannot be, just because I come from a country in which things happened does not mean that I have done anything wrong.
Right.
And so I mean, this is going super deep, but that is work that has to
Yeah.
be done because
Yeah.
all of it matters. And so when we bring all of that, we get more objections. Not,
Yeah.
I don't think it's because of their perception, but it's because we are unsure. We are unsure if we're going to help.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I absolutely, when we, moving into objections, I absolutely agree with that. I definitely think that my own insecurities, my
Hmm.
own self-doubt, which, like, literally in black and white, it makes no sense. There are people out here who are talking college who've never stepped a foot, a day on a college campus. Like, I have over 20, like, I just need to be my own hype woman when it comes to like these calls. Like, girl, you have worked at some of the best places in this country. You have worked with some of the best people in the industry. You have helped thousands of students. Like,
Yeah.
I still every holiday get text messages from students from 10 years ago. Like,
Yeah.
what I made impact, right?
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I just feel like the reason is I know I deserve more than I'm even asking for. And I'm
Mm,
even scared to ask for that.
yeah.
You know, I deserve more because I'm saving them more. There was this person I was just engaging in a conversation with online. They spent $75,000 in a year on their child's education and didn't have a game plan, didn't have a strategy. And now they have to pull back. And their child is, on another path down going to a community college, which community colleges are great. I think we don't um, uh, acknowledge just how important community colleges are to this country. But if that wasn't your plan, there there is a way to have succeeded in the route that you were going had you followed a different path. And
Yeah.
I can help with that path. And so for whatever reason, I have convinced myself that I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
It's a lot of mental self-talk, right? The whole imposter syndrome crap.
That
Like, that
comes up.
just
Yeah.
does not even make sense. Like, like you again, you have to be your own hype person, and
Yeah.
you have to talk to yourself like you're your own best friend. I tell this to students, I tell this to clients all the time, but I don't do that to myself. you know
Hmm.
like, I think I go in with such a sense of doubt that someone will believe that I am good enough, that I've convinced myself that, okay, if they're saying no, that's okay,
Yeah.
because they're right. They're right. And
They must be
just
right. They
just
must be
saying it
right.
out loud, I'm just
Yeah.
like, what the hell, Carol? Like,
Yeah.
what the hell? 30% of kids go to college and don't make it to their sophomore year. That's a hell of a lot of kids.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a lot of kids, and a lot of kids' lives who were changed. And
Hmm.
40% drop out.
Yeah.
And if I know exactly what the roadblocks are, and I still think that I can't help them, like, that's on me.
Yeah.
That's on
And that's
me.
your most
That's
important work.
that's
Yeah.
the work. That's the work. But let me tell you, 2022, I mean, seriously, no, you can't tell me nothing. My name is Carol Ben-Davies. I'm the CEO of College Bound Determination. I am your dean of student success and strategy. And if
Love
you
it.
have a child and you are on a college journey, you need to be working with somebody who has your best interests at heart,
Yeah.
because getting in is the easy part of the journey. If you're
Mhm.
trying to graduate in less than 6 years, which is the average, come on, people. 6 years is the average graduation rate in this country. 6 years. You trying to spend that kind of money?
Yeah.
I'm not.
And that, I think I call that,
Myself
you
up.
gotta hype yourself up. And I call that airtime, right? Like that's where you have to give yourself airtime. Like how much time in the day? Because the doubt is going to be there. And I think like just because, so I was talking on a coaching call the other day about how, with the scarcity and stuff, like my default setting is extreme scarcity. I mean, my my mother will reuse plastic bags.
My
Like
mom
the sippy
reuses
ones,
paper
right?
towels. She's just like,
Yes. Oh yeah, of
paper
course.
towels. She said she came to visit me for the holidays. She's just like, oh, Carol, what kind of paper towels is this? I'm like, mommy, like, what do you do? She's like, do you have any extra? Did you buy it in bulk? I'm like, no. She's like, oh, because I was going to take some with me. She just, because I think it was called
They
Viva.
were
I
good.
think it's Viva.
Oh yeah, those are good. Those are
They're
Viva,
so
Vivas.
good.
Yeah, they're
But
so good.
I mean, she doesn't feel like if you just use it to wash your hands, nothing is wrong with it, right? So if you want to use it again to like,
you gotta save
you
it there,
something
dry
on
it
the
up,
floor,
use it
there
again.
you go, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
it has levels.
we are so there, and
we are on the same level. So like that,
and it messes with you.
It
carries
messes with
into
you.
your own, ways
into
of
your own
thinking.
life. Yeah.
And I remember another thing that you told me I need to stop saying was that I can't even afford me.
Yes. Oh yeah, I told you to cut that out right away.
Yeah. I mean, because it's still something I think,
Well, and
that
here's the
can't
thing,
even
like
afford me. And
just
it's just
because
like,
you think it,
you can't not afford, you can't go into this process and not.
well, yeah, I mean, imagine not investing in it, right? But here's the other thing that I think is like my default is that type of scarcity. I know that's my default. So when that shit comes up, I have two options. I can believe it, or I can ignore it. I can be like, oh, there it is again. I want to reuse this paper plastic thing. Like, oh yeah, right. I think $2 is too much to spend on paper or whatever. And so I have to remind myself that that's just not the reality anymore. And like, just because I have the thought, right? So this is going back to the doubt piece, right? Just because we have doubt does not mean that we have to believe it's true.
Yeah.
We can say, oh, there you are, doubt. Thanks for joining the conversation. I knew you'd show up at some point.
I knew you would be here.
Yeah, I know you'd be here. Let's on with the next thing, right? And I think like that type of an attitude has helped me so much, because I used to spiral. Like when the doubt would set in, like sometimes I'd be going for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, and then I'd have that rejection. And I'd settle down and I'd be like, oh my God, I can't do this. The whole world is going to end. I can't have a business. Like my business is going down. Like that was my default. And then I had to remember, just because I had that thought does not make it true.
Yeah.
Right. It is just a thought, and I can move on. Right. And even like as plain day as writing down, okay, these are the thoughts I want to have. Like you were talking about, like, these are the thoughts I want to have, and I have them in my planner. And then these are the thoughts that I tend to have when I'm having doubt, or these are unhelpful things that I notice my brain tends to do. My whole thing is all around the scarcity stuff, right? And wanting to keep everything, right? I went on a minimalist journey in the last year where I got rid of 50% of my stuff, and it was so powerful. I can't even begin to explain how much I shifted by getting rid of stuff, because I had no more like that scarcity where I'm holding on to everything in case I need it. Right. Like all the paper clips, because I might need them. Like,
Nate
really?
Nate Berkus gave me a wonderful term for that. He called it sentimental hoarding.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, oh, that sounds so good. That's me. But yeah, I can see how that, absolutely. And I think the other thing too is, and I'm not sure where this is. Well, I'll just say I am a hyper empathetic person.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel a lot. I feel, right? And along with this scarcity mindset, and being in such of a space of lack growing up, I think everybody is like that. So
Yeah.
I make decisions for people based on what my mom and dad could have afforded, right? You
Right.
know, what I can afford at the time, right? And that has nothing to do with me. So that has been another thing that I need to continue to work on. Like, at the end of the day, we make decisions. We all make decisions, and you don't know what someone can be deciding to do with their money.
Yeah.
Because there are some times when I was like, thinking that my mom and dad didn't have something, but they did have, when they needed it, right? Like if my grandmother needed to come from Africa, they need to buy a plane ticket. Like those things are
Oh
not
yeah.
cheap,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Somehow the money is there.
Somehow the money shows up for
Somehow
these big
grandma is
travels.
over and she is cooking us all kinds of foods. You know what I'm saying? If you
For 2 months,
wanted,
right? You're like, what in the world?
somehow it becomes accessible,
Yeah.
right? And so I need to remember that as well. Like they may not have it now, they may have it later, they may have it, but that doesn't have anything to do with what you should be charging and telling them is the service that you provide. That none of my back issues, none of what assumptions I'm making about their issues has anything to do with the conversation we're having about helping their child.
Yeah.
And staying in the moment, just
Yeah.
staying in the moment, not thinking, oh, what are they going to think of me when I say this? That's
Mhm.
another thing.
Yeah.
What am I thinking about me? Like all of that just needs to not even be part of the equation if we are going to be successful in, providing the service that we want to provide.
Yeah. And I just want to piggyback on that. When people make assumptions in the sales process, it can be the most detrimental thing to that person. So if I think I've shared this with you, like how
Mm-hmm.
I was on a sales call and I was the one buying,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a $5,000 flat payment.
Mm-hmm.
And I told you how I had told the guy, I'm like, dude, I'm going through this huge divorce. My
Mm-hmm.
bills for the lawyer are like several thousand. I mean, it was like more than 5 figures a month. Is that how much it is? Yeah. It was more than 5 figures a month in my bills for the lawyer. And I was a newly single mom, right? Like getting myself back on my feet, leaving this tumultuous relationship. And I was on the phone with this guy and he was like not judging me at all. And
Mm-hmm.
I think I told you when I joined this program, I literally cried because for the first time I felt like nobody was being racist or judgmental to me for being Hispanic, for being having the background that I have and having the situations of my life that I had, because he never once doubted my ability to pay the 5K that day. He was just like, oh yeah, of course, it's 5K. This is what it is. And I paid him in cash that day. I paid him. And so had he judged me because of my situation, because I was paying this lawyer so much money, because I was a newly single mom, because I was like literally in one of the worst spots in my entire life.
Yeah.
And had he judged me there, I wouldn't have had the help I needed.
Yeah.
And because he did believe in me, he asked me for it right away. And I paid it in cash. No problem. And so I think that like it is the most loving thing that we can do is to hold that bar and believe in them, right? It's exactly what you said that had me thinking about it is none of the past stuff, none of the future stuff, like nothing has anything to do with me helping their child right now, right? And that's exactly it. Like none of my back shit mattered in him helping me with what I needed help with.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have gotten the help I needed if I hadn't invested. And if he hadn't believed in me, if he would have given up and been like, whatever, this girl's never going to come up with money to pay for this.
I have had someone on the phone doing a sales call and sort of doing that same thing. Because sometimes it's like you have it, but you're trying to convince yourself to like let it go type of thing. It's just like, oh, I have this, I have that. You know, you're just kind of like ruminating thought out loud. This man says, oh, you're not serious about buying. We need to go. I have another call to take. And was like, click up, goodbye. Yes. I was like, oh my gosh, that was very interesting.
So that was the opposite, right? He had the opportunity to
how many times
to the belief. Yeah.
You know, I mean, he really just made it seem as if it was just, you know, a check mark, you know, on his list of things to do today. I need to make these many sales. You know, he really came across as a salesperson, right? You're sitting around kicking tires. You're not going to buy. I'm not going to waste my time with you. Yep. Is exactly how he came across. And that's such the energy that I don't want to, you know, portray. What your coach did was what sales should be. Like, I can help you. I can help you, right? And that's the place I want to come from. Yes, it costs some money. Yes, there's an investment, but there's investments whether you you're gonna pay on the front end or the back end. Trust me. Like in my space, you're gonna pay in the front end or in the back end. And some of the costs are not even financial in my world. It's not even financial. You can't even put a price tag on somebody's life, right? So I think there's just so many ways to approach it, and just like I said, kind of divorcing yourself from like that negative, nasty, just like you're just here. I don't really care about you, the person. I just care about the purse, you know, type of thing. As opposed to, I have this service and I can provide you something that's going to fulfill your purpose in life, type of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the space that I want to generate, and that's the mindset that I will have, you know, going forward for sure.
Yeah. And I just want to say one final part, like that's why I am adamant about coaching coaches specifically, because in coaching, one of the things that is the most helpful in a coaching relationship is total belief in that person.
Yeah.
And so when you approach the sales process like that, it's the most like loving thing you can do, and starts that coaching relationship from a place of belief. And I think that is just so powerful, because people do have doubts, and as the coach, you can't be the one to have them. You need to be the one holding the belief for that person. And then that person can have their doubt and whatever, but you stay true to your belief in them. So that's just right. So this has been fun. I did not expect to go down all those fun little loopholes, but that's the truth and the raw, you know, the raw truth of the relationship with sales that can be happening for a lot of people. And
let's get our own way, people.
Yes.
We have lives to change.
Yeah. Oops. Are you all right? If you know somebody who could benefit from this episode, please share it with them, especially, you know, like we're from other countries. I've never really talked about it that much, but I think that the background that we bring is a little bit different than what is being talked about out there. And I think it will be really helpful for somebody who's had a similar situation in their life.
Absolutely.
So where can people find out more about you?
I am Carol Ben-Davies, CEO of College Bound Determination. You can find me at www.carolbendavies.com. I'm also on Instagram, carolbendavies.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, Carol Ben-Davies. So just find me. Also, if you know, because this is a time of the year where students are finding out their final grades and whether they're going to be going back to school spring semester, fearful of the results that they received first semester and the impact that will have going into their second semester freshman year. If you know someone who really struggled and they were placed on academic probation, for instance, or are fearful of being academically dropped in their spring semester, I would love to be a support system to them. I definitely help students who are planning to prepare for college, but the reality is there's so much conversation about preparing and not enough about what happens when students get there. So please send me a text, text my student to 1-833-239-7729, and that'll just start the process of me and you working together to support your child. There are so many comeback stories from setbacks, and I would love for your child to be, have an amazing comeback story, because it definitely is possible. I know right now it doesn't feel that way, but with a coach who has tons of experience that can help support your child, it definitely is possible to have one of those amazing comeback stories that I hear about so often. So look forward to connecting with you, and thank you so much for chatting with you today, Mariana. I just really always love talking to you and getting to pick your amazing big brain and hearing your passion for folks in my position, sort of starting, building, growing their businesses as a working mom with young kids. It's just like you know it all. You know all the struggles.
I know the
And
struggles for sure.
yeah, so your support in navigating all that has been so much of a blessing. So just thank you for just being who you are, and I hope you have an amazing 2022.
Thank you. All right, everyone, go check her out. She's amazing. Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye, y'all.
I hope you enjoyed this episode, and click the like, hit the subscribe, and click on the bell so that you never miss an episode and help our channel to grow and reach more people. I hope you have an impactful day, and I will see you in the next one.